How to remember almost all of what you study. 10 secrets to memorize better than most people. Have you ever met someone who seems to remember every detail of what they read or see? This is the friend that recites details from the movies that you watched or the book they read months ago. Long after the simple points of a text have slipped your mind, they're still talking about it in details. How do they do it? These people don't have extraordinary memories. They simply take in the information actively. Since they're actively processing information, they are able to experience the book detail or the movie scenes repeatedly in a short time. They revise and synthesize the information so that it becomes their own. Interestingly, the ability to learn is a skill. And the thing about skills is that they can be learned. There are practical ways to engage with materials when studying, which will improve your ability to remember what you have read. Think about how this new skill could change your life. You get better performances in your academic and professional life. So, in today's video, we share with you 10 secrets to memorize better than most people and remember what you study. While you're here, consider subscribing to After School Africa to continue exploring opportunities. 1. Read actively. There are times you're tempted to read a material as quickly as you can so as to move to something else. The problem with that is you hardly remember what you have read. You won't retain what you read if you casually read the materials. When you're reading for any reason at all, be present and do so actively. It's easy to read a whole page and realize you took in nothing. If you notice your mind wandering while you're reading, take a short break and come back with your mind settled. Ask yourself questions like, what is the main point of this section? And try to think it through. It also helps to underline as you read and write down notes in the margins. 2. Take notes while reading. While it's common practice to take notes during classes, you should also take notes while you're reading and studying alone. Putting the information into your own words will help you remember it better. Do not just copy definitions and concepts into a notebook. The best way to better understand and retain the information is to rephrase them in your own words. 3. Explain the material to someone else. Having a study buddy is a great way to enhance your study experience. Studying with someone and discussing what you read will help to retain the information. If one person is struggling with a concept, having the other person explain it to them will help both parties better understand and retain the material. Alternatively, you can always ask a roommate or friend if you can explain the information out loud to them. 4. Write out information by hand. Copying information over and over again can help commit it to your brain. When you write, you will be actively thinking about the words you're reading. If you're really struggling to retain a particular concept, vocabulary, date, name, or other aspect of your study material, try writing it down a few times. You'll remember it better later on. If you don't like handwriting, you can also type out your notes again and again. Just make sure you pay attention to what you're typing. 5. Use mnemonic devices. Mnemonic devices are means of associating new information with phrases, terms, or images. For example, my very eye may just see universal 9 planets is a mnemonic device to remember the planets in our solar system. The first letter of each word in the sentence corresponds to a planet: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. I learned this over 24 years ago and still remember it today. That's how powerful this learning method is. If there isn't a well-known mnemonic device for the material you're trying to learn, you can make up your own. Have fun and be creative. 6. Make associations with the material. In addition to mnemonic devices, you can make other associations that help you retain information. You can make visual associations in your mind or look for certain patterns. For example, let's say you want to remember 2nd September 1945 was the date the Second World War ended. Your grandfather, a great warrior, married 5 wives. Your father, his second child, christened Samuel, had 4 children. To remember this information, imagine your father charging victoriously to battle with his 4 children behind him and your grandfather's wives trailing behind. Now that's a sight to behold. Well, you get the point. 7. Test yourself on the materials. Testing yourself is one of the best exercises to remember what you read. Merely rereading or studying the information is not as effective as actually testing yourself on the materials. You can make up your own test by writing down questions as you reread your notes and course materials. When you're done reviewing, try to answer your own questions. You can also review past questions. 8. Review the material regularly so you retain it better. Studies show that when students review the materials they learned 3 times within a month of learning it, they're much more likely to retain that information. Within 24 hours of learning the material, review it for 10 minutes. Then, 7 days after, review it for 5 minutes to get back up to speed. Finally, 30 days after you learned the material, you will only need to go over it for 2 to 4 minutes for your brain to remember it. Instead of waiting until the day before your test to start studying, go over it during brief sessions throughout the month. Then, when your exam comes around, you'll be more likely to remember it all. 9. Take breaks. You will not retain information if you try to cram it in all at once. Instead of studying for hours on end, stick to reasonably timed study sessions with breaks in between. Keep yourself on a schedule regarding breaks to make sure they don't take too much time. You can, for example, agree on 50 minutes of studying and then 5 minutes of break time. To avoid getting carried away during your break, make sure to time yourself. 10. Get enough sleep and exercise regularly. You cannot retain information unless you're getting a solid night's sleep each night. Make sure to go to bed at a reasonable hour and aim for a full night's sleep each day. Also, regular physical activity can increase your brain's ability to memorize. Aim for half an hour of aerobic exercises a day to maximize your ability to recall information. Pick a form of exercise you enjoy, as you'll be more likely to stick to it. Everyone has different methods that help them learn. Some learn visually, while others may like writing definitions repeatedly. Try a variety of different methods until you find one that works for you. Which of these study methods do you adopt? Let us know in the comments section. Visit www.afterschoolafrica.com to explore opportunities. If you're yet to subscribe to After School Africa channel, this is likely a good time to subscribe. Until next time, your success matters.